It's week 10 in the NFL, and we have 3 more best bets for you this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com. We have 3 more NFL bets for you this Sunday. But first, if you're new to Grandstand Bettors, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our free picks or free predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button if you're excited for 4 straight weeks of profitable Sunday NFL free picks, because that's what we're coming off of. So, without further ado, let's dive in to week 10 in the NFL. And our first game we're going to look at is in the 1 p.m. time slot between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Bills are favored here by 12.5 points. The over-under is set at 47.5. Even though the Bills are sitting atop the AFC East at the moment, not many people high on this team after they just had an awful performance against the Jags last week, losing 9-6. Now, Josh Allen had a rough game, turning the ball over 3 times, twice with an interception and once with a fumble. He ended up 31 for 47 for only 264 yards and no touchdowns. On the year, though, Allen having a decent season for the most part, and he has been protecting the ball. Before the Jags game, he had thrown 17 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. Allen's top 3 targets, Diggs, Sanders, and Beasley, had 18 catches for over 180 yards last week. So they were moving the ball. The Bills were just turning the ball over too much, and they were unable to convert on third downs, just going 6 of 15 in third down situations. Now we expect this week to be different, as the Bills still do have a top 7 passing offense in the NFL, and they get to go up against a Jets secondary that is the 3rd worst in the league, giving up over 315 passing yards in the last 3 games, including a 300 game by rookie Matt Jones a few weeks back. Now, although Josh Allen will be able to throw all over this Jets secondary, we do look for the Bills to have a very balanced attack in this game, as they also have a very good rushing offense. Now, granted, that's due to Josh Allen, but Singletary does average about 5 yards a carry as well. The Bills are averaging in total 120 yards per game on the ground and should be able to improve off last week's 72-yard performance against the 6th worst rush defense here in the NFL. Speaking of those Jets, they come into this game 2-6 after almost backdoor covering on Thursday Night Football last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Mike White started that game 7 of 11 for 95 yards and a touchdown. Looked pretty good, but then was injured and replaced with Josh Johnson, who ended up throwing for over 300 yards in that game. Now, it does appear that White is going to be good to go and will get the start versus the Bills this week. White on the season, thrown for 72% completion rate and over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. The real key to his success has been continuing what Zach Wilson was doing with his Jets offense, and that is throwing the ball all over the field, using absolutely everyone in the passing game. 6 different receivers have over 200 yards on the season, and 8 different receivers have caught TD passes for the Jets. The one area of concern for White has been the ability to protect the ball, as he's already thrown 4 interceptions in the few games he's started. It could be a rough outing for White against the Bills, as they have one of the best, or the best, passing defense in the league, only allowing 177 yards per game and forcing opponents to throw 1.4 interceptions per game as well. Michael Carter, who's coming off a 13-rush, 49-yard performance last week, he's going to try to open up this passing game for White. But if the Jets couldn't run against the 16th-ranked rushing defense last week, they may be hard-pressed to do it this week against a 4th-ranked Bills defense who give up only 85 yards per game. Overall, the Bills are a much better football team here than the Jets, with Zach Wilson going out and the Jets now on their 2nd-string quarterback, White. Although, let's be honest, that could be an upgrade. But really, this Jets team continues to be bad, and they're giving up a league-worst 31 points per game. The Bills, they're a league best, giving up only 15 points per game, and we love this spot here for the Bills after that loss against the Jags. They're pissed off. They're going to want to come out and show everyone that that was a one-off. So we think this line is much lower than it should be. Maybe some overreaction with that loss last week. So with our first pick of NFL week number 10, we're going to take the Buffalo Bills minus 12.5 over the New York Jets. Now, with our second pick this week, we're going to look at another one in the 1 o'clock Eastern time slot between the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans. Spread for this game is in favor of the Titans -3. The game over-under is at 44. Saints are the visiting team in this matchup. They're coming into this game with a 5-3 record after a heartbreaking loss to Atlanta Falcons last week. It seems like they are on the verge of letting the season slip away, especially after Winston went down with an ACL injury 2 weeks ago. So Hill and Simeon are going to be the QB options moving forward. Does look like Simeon will start, though, this week. They have a few tough games left in their schedule, like the Titans this week, the Bucs, and the Cowboys, but there really are several winnable games left for them to try and secure a wild card spot in the NFC. To do that, though, they're going to need quarterback Trevor Simeon to play like he did in the second half of the game last week. Their offense only had 87 yards in the first half, and they scored all 25 of their points in the second half. Against better defenses than the Falcons, that's just not going to cut it, and the Titans would be one of those defenses. So the Saints, they're going to be very thin at wide receiver as well. Michael Thomas not returning this year. He decided that he's just going to sit the season out. Their whole offense is really dependent on Alvin Kamara. What's new? That might be good for fantasy managers, but offensively, the Saints are very limited right now. That's probably why they're 5th worst in the league with only 314 yards per game. Now, although the Titans are giving up 365 yards per game defensively, they have looked much better in the past few weeks, and their Achilles heel has been defending against the pass, which, let's be honest, the Saints have not been able to get going this year in the least bit. Trevor Simeon has to expose the weakness of the Titans, their secondary, if they're going to put up points in this game. Now, the Titans, on the other hand, they're coming off a great win, a great string of wins. But last week in Sunday Night Football, 28-16 win over the Rams helped them improve to 7-2 on the year. They silenced a lot of their critics in conversations about how good they would be without Derrick Henry. They proved that they can win games against good teams. But if you look closer into that game, the Titans' offense was severely limited, and the only reason they really won that game was because of their defense. They only had 69 rushing yards as a team. Tannehill only completed 19 passes for 143 yards. And as Adrian Peterson shakes off some offseason rust, defenses will be a little warier of them rushing the ball and really look for the offense to throw the ball down the field to their 2-star receivers, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Now, in this game against the Saints, that should work out for them. The Saints secondary giving up 273 passing yards per game. And with Tannehill's ability to extend plays with his leg, that gives just a more dynamic flow to their offense that we think the Saints should struggle to defend. With another big win under their belt last week, we think the books are still underestimating this team a bit, and they kind of forgot about the other Titans playmakers with all the buzz about Derrick Henry out this year. With how little we saw of Derrick Henry-less Titans offense last week, and how lopsided the Saints offense was with Simeon, we're going to shy away from the total in this game, even though it's very low at 44. We do see an edge in the game, though, with the spread. If the Saints did not make their game against the Falcons as close as it was, we think this spread would be a little bit higher in favor of the Titans. And even after their upset win over the Rams, the Titans are still only getting 2.5-point favorites, and they have home field advantage. With Alvin Kamara ruled doubtful maybe for this game, the line's most likely going to keep going in favor of the Titans closer to kickoff. So, with our second pick of week number 10, we're going to take the Tennessee Titans -3 over the Saints. Make sure you get that as soon as possible, because if Kamara is ruled out, even an hour or more before game time, that is going to probably jump to 4, 4.5, maybe even 5. So, grab that at 3 while you can. With our final pick of week number 10, we're going to look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football. Chiefs are favored by 2.5 in this one, with the over-under set at 52. Chiefs are now 5-4 on the year. They've won 2 straight, and the talks around the water cooler this year have been, what is wrong with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense? And after last week's 13-7 win over Green Bay and Jordan Love, and where they failed to cover yet again, Mahomes, who threw 20 of 37 for 166 yards, we're starting to think the same thing. What is wrong with Mahomes in this offense? Now, on the season, though, Mahomes has thrown for 2,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, but the one outlier is 10 interceptions this season. That is a big number for him. He threw 11 interceptions total in the last 2 seasons combined. Hill and Kelsey have accumulated for over 50% of the yards through the air and touchdowns as well. So they're going to have to go to other playmakers because the Raiders are going to just look to keep those two from getting the ball. It is going to be hard in the first place to throw against this Raiders team, as the Raiders secondary are a top 5 team in passing defense, only giving up 207 yards per game. Just last week, they held Daniel Jones to 110 yards for the Giants. They did lose that game, though, but that wasn't because of Jones in the Giants' passing game. It was just because of their own red zone problems, which we'll get to here in a moment. Now, the rushing game of the Chiefs, it took a huge hit when Edwards-Helaire left the team in early October with an injury, especially since he was averaging 5 yards per carry. Darrell Williams is just flat out not as good. His longest run of the season has only been 12 yards. If there was ever a game that he could go off, it would be this one against the Las Vegas Raiders. They actually have a worse rushing defense than the Jets we discussed earlier. Now, the Raiders, speaking of them, they coming in this game actually tied atop the AFC West. And in all honesty, we think that is very impressive given the off-field distractions they've had with Gruden, Ruggs, etc. They're coming off, though, a bad loss to the Giants in which they outgained the Giants 403 to 247 and were just awful in the red zone. They had 6 opportunities inside the 25, just 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. Derrick Carr has been much better this season for the Raiders. He has passed for 2,500 yards and 13 touchdowns, but does have 7 interceptions. One of the best upsides that he had before Ruggs was let go by the team was the plethora of wide receivers he could throw to. He had 4 wide receivers this year, all with over 340 yards receiving. Now, Waller and Renfro have been his go-to guys, but Carr does a nice job utilizing all options on the field. Even without Ruggs on the team, Carr and this second best passing offense should be able to put up decent numbers this week against a Kansas City team that is in the bottom half of defending the pass. Now, if they're unable to get the passing game going against the Chiefs, it's going to be a long one because they are not a good running football team. In fact, they're one of the worst football teams running the ball in the NFL. Jacobs and the Raiders rushing attack, they only average 89 yards on the ground per game. Kansas City does not have the best rushing defense in the league, but this is a team that still limited Derrick Henry to 3 yards per carry a few weeks back. So let's not assume this is the week that the Raiders are going to be able to start rushing the ball. Overall, should be a very entertaining game here on Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs in the past 4 years have scored 28 points or more in 7 of the 8 games they've played the Raiders. This year, the Chiefs have had very high expectations, which they can actually blame themselves for. That's what happens when you get to the big game 2 years in a row. But with high expectations come overreactions when there's some letdown. And the Chiefs are sick of hearing how they are the team, or how they are supposed to be the team for the past 2 years. They're going to come out here on Sunday Night Football for everyone to see. They're going to put up points on this bad Vegas defense. The Raiders, on the other hand, they're not going to be able to establish a running game, and Carr's going to have to throw the ball probably 40 times in this one. We expect this game to be a large passing affair and to be points scored at will. With the instability to trust the Chiefs to cover the spread, we're going to look here at the total with our third and final pick of week number 10 in the NFL, and we're actually going to take the Chiefs-Raiders over 52. That's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. We're going to be live streaming the Cleveland Browns and New England Patriots game on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And our Monday Night Football free pick will be coming out around halftime of the Sunday Night Football game. So look for that. Also, we are a part of Patreon. If you want a sports pick each and every day, click in the description below. There's a link to our Patreon membership. Become a member. Less than 25 cents a day. You get a sports pick each and every day. Also, make sure you head on over to grandstandbettors.com. Check out our family and become part of it. But as always, sit back, relax, enjoy NFL week number 10, and we'll see you next week.